Hello everybody, in this video we will be evaluating some functions. So, what does that mean? So, it means if we have a function like this one, f of x equals negative 2x squared plus x minus 3. This is a function for which we can put in an input of x, and we can get out f of x or y. So let's go ahead and get started. What it would be f of 3 given this. We will simply plug in 3 where all of the x's are, which gives us this, which gives us 3 minus 3 is 0, 3 squared is 9, times negative 2 is negative 18. That gives us f of 3 is equal to negative 18. Again, f of 3, we're putting 3 where the x is, so we're putting 3 where the x's are in solving. What would be f of 0? Again, we're just going to fill in where the x's are with 0 plus 0 minus 3. And so we have 0 squared, which is 0, negative 2 times 0, which is 0, plus 0, which is 0, minus 3, just gives us negative 3. So that gives us f of 0 equals negative 3. If we plug in 0 for x, that will give us f of x, f of 0 equals negative 3. Now, let's try this one. If we have f of x equals the square root of x plus 2 minus 1, what is f of 2? Again, we're just plugging in for x. So we have this square root of 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2 minus 1 equals 1. So that gives us f of 2 equals 1. What about f of 7? Again, we're just replacing x with 7. So we have 7 plus 2. Square root of 7 plus 2 minus 1. And 7 plus 2 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3 minus 1 equals 2. So that gives us f of 7 equals 2. Again, we're just plugging in our input, which in this case was 7, for all of the x's, so we can solve for our f of x or our y value. Let's look at some more examples. F of x equals the square root of x plus 1. What is f of negative 4? So again, we're replacing x with negative 4. And this gives us the square root of negative 3. Now, this is not allowed because you cannot take the square root of a negative number and get a real number. Because if you multiply two positive numbers, you will get a positive number. And if you multiply two negative numbers, you will get a positive number. So there are no two numbers that are the same that can multiply to get a negative number. This would be an imaginary number, but it is not a real number. This gets into a problem that we will call a domain problem. Domain refers to the set of all x values for a function. In this case, for this function, f cannot equal negative 4. That is, x cannot equal negative 4. Our domain cannot include negative 4. X cannot equal negative 4 because that does not give us a real number output. Let's try f of negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1, that gives us the square root of 0, which is 0 because 0 times 0 equals 0. Again, it is okay for x to be negative, this is negative 1, but you cannot take the square root of a negative number. The negative number cannot be inside of the square root. This is why for this one, x cannot equal negative 4. Negative 4 cannot be in the domain of f of x. I hope that makes sense. Let's take a look at another one. F of x equals x plus 1 over x plus 2. F of negative 2. So again, we're just going to fill in for x. And that would give us negative 1 over 0. Now wait a minute. Anything with 0 as a denominator is undefined. It is basically not a real number. It is undefined. because anything that we try to multiply by that 0 is just going to give us 0, not -1. A fraction cannot have 0 as a denominator or it is undefined. This is another domain problem. Our domain for this one, x cannot equal -2. It cannot. Our domain cannot include -2, and x cannot equal -2. So, because this gives us an undefined output, so our domain cannot equal -2. Let's try f of 3. Again, we're just plugging in 3 plus 1, 3 plus 2, that gives us 4/5, and that is fine. But I do hope you understand what we're trying to see here with some of the domain restrictions, which we will get into more later. But there are certain restrictions that must be had. For square roots, the inside of a square root must be positive, cannot be negative. That is why for this one, -4 cannot be part of the domain. The domain is the x values. And again, same thing for this one. The denominator of a fraction cannot be 0. That is why the domain cannot contain -2. X cannot equal -2. X values and the domain are the same. Neither one of those can equal -2. I hope you found that helpful. If there's anything else you would like me to cover specifically, please let me know down below in the comments. If you do not understand any of this, please let me know down in the comments and I will try to help you as much as I can. Thank you for watching. I hope you found that helpful and I will see you next time.